pretty fine to play against consistently. But Shen J4 I could see being a pressure point that I want to remove if I am WinXploit.
Yeah, I mean, TF Swain does make sense, especially since it's not very prevalent in the meta. I'm not sure most people have a lineup that's prepared to face TF Swain. So I kind of agree with you on that point. On the side of MaykaS, though, banning from WinXploit, and it does look like we are getting into the game. I don't know. I mean, I maybe ban the Sivir, but...
I know.
What would you ban?
Ban Ezreal Draven. 1000%.
Yeah, that easy, huh?
Oh, yeah. Ezreal Draven into Frostbite midrange is still, like, one of the most polarized matchups in the game. Like, it's not, like... It's kind of hard, right? Because it's, like, the matchup is actually not that polarized. But if Ezreal Draven opens Tribeam Improbulator, it's extremely polarized. Frostbite midrange is probably the deck in the game that Tribeam Improbulator is the best against.
Well, we'll see if that's going to be the case. Right now, we do have Plunder versus TF Swain. So TF Swain not being banned on the side of MaykaS. And this Plunder deck, you know, we heard a lot about it coming into the tournament. We did see a little bit of it in the first couple of rounds, but not so much towards the end. How many Plunder decks were in the top cut, out of curiosity, Boulevard?
There's a couple. I call them NAB, but that's kind of tomato. I think there were two of them, just What Am I and WinXploit, which is a little bit less than I kind of expected. I think players have really been picking this one up and saying this is a really solid deck. I know it's kind of taken over ladder over the last couple of days. Players still kind of figuring out the build for it. You know, what are the appropriate Freljord cards to be running? There's been some division on, okay, I'm just going to run Sejuani, or I'm going to include Ice Shards because it gets me Plunder procs as well as helps deal with some of the more unexpected decks like Discard and Azir Aurelia. Or am I just going with Three Sisters because it's a value card?
And we see the two Make It Rain and the Monster Harpoon in hand. So Monster Harpoon, pretty big deal if we're able to get it off onto a pre-leveled Swain. We'll see if that's going to be the case there. We also have Yordle Grifter in hand here. I mean, I've seen generally, actually, is this the version, is WinXploit playing Ice Shard?
No, got one Three Sisters in there.
One Three Sisters. Okay, so I was going to say, most people I feel have used one other card in addition to the Sejuani in terms of Freljord. And usually I feel like it's been not Three Sisters. I feel like it has been that Ice Shard. So curious to see how Three Sisters is actually going to make out here. And if it avoids any future allegiance procs, which I've seen many a time with these Yordle Grifters. Feels even worse nowadays, now that you also don't get that warning shot.
I'm actually a little surprised at the blocks that MaykaS took here. I feel like getting the Yordle Grifter off the board, that single fearsome blocker, was a little bit more prevalent, because that is something that the NAB deck can struggle with, is maintaining fearsome blockers. And like it's probably one of the decks that you're gonna have an easier chance sneaking through a Swain hit against. Maybe we're not super worried about it because hey, this is the turn where the Gangplank could be coming down, so I'm not really banking on the idea that my Swain is going to be able to hit the opposing Nexus. And it looks like next turn it is probably just going to die to Sejuani. I don't imagine we're gonna like Death's Hand Scorched Earth Sejuani, but it's certainly not out of the question, right?
Well, this Make It Rain is setting up for this Monster Harpoon, like I just mentioned, so it looks like we're gonna pretty quickly get rid of this Swain. So yeah, like you said, usually not a whole lot of fearsome blockers, but doing a good job here. And actually, as we say, that has the plundered up Pirate on field, as well as the Yordle Grifter. So if another Swain does come down, I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot. And honestly, MaykaS has no real good threats here, at least for a couple more turns when we get this Leviathan down. Dreadway Deckhand not going to do a whole lot, and 6 damage incoming.
I think that WinXploit is in a phenomenal position. While TF Swain is not really a matchup that you win solely off the back of Sejuani, like a couple of other matchups. You know, they established the Swain Leviathan combo. It doesn't really matter if you frostbite them. They are hard locking down your board while chipping away at your life total with the Leviathan. You know, MaykaS really doesn't have a whole lot going on, and with the Three Sisters in WinXploit's hand, they can actually break the lock thanks to Entomb.
Oh man, and this field just going so wide for WinXploit also technically has 2 more damage represented in hand, just between the warning shot and the Make It Rain. Sejuani also going to prove to be an issue for MaykaS here if MaykaS can't deal with it just because of that overwhelm damage. So I think WinXploit might actually be able to close out the game here in the next couple of turns. Crackshot Corsair providing a little bit more aggression. If we can close out the game before Leviathan Swain ever comes online, I mean, that's kind of what you want to do here, right, Boulevard?
Yeah, and an open attack does present lethal, but it's not WinXploit's attack turn, so it looks like we are going to get the red card with the keg, which really only clears out our stolen house spiders, so we're not super interested in what's happening here. Gonna make it rain for good measure.
Yeah, I think trying to hit the keg.
Just entirely. Man, that is the one thing I did not miss about Make It Rain was the dishonorable mention highlight reel that we had always sort of joked about back in the DOR days of being like, yeah, you know, this is what Make It Rain does when it misses. It is just like, it's so bad because Make It Rain was the correct play there, and instead you get nothing for it.
And this, all right, so this might force out Death's Hand and Ravenous Flock just so that there's no open attack with Overwhelm from WinXploit, because that does represent lethal, especially with the Three Sisters in hand to get something like a Fury of the North. Yep,
actually probably going to be like Scorched Earth on the Sejuani and Ravenous Flock 2 units.
Yeah.
Which I think still lets us get down Swain in the same turn, if I can math correctly. 10 mana. Yeah, will leave us exactly enough for Swain. So we're not like stalling out our Swain Leviathan combo in order to survive this turn. So things are actually starting to look pretty good for MaykaS if they can stave this off, stay at a healthy enough life total where they're not in sort of the burn range. But the one problem is that if you line up the double flock and the Scorched Earth all at once, WinXploit can go for the Three Sisters into the Fury of the North and potentially just kill you this turn.
And I think that's exactly what we're about to see, Boulevard. Not to mention, I mean, you still do have 2 more damage represented in hand from the Yordle Grifter and the other warning shot. So I think there's probably a world where even if some more damage gets prevented here, we only need to push through 5. And we get 1 no matter what. Probably another one with the Crackshot Corsair. We only need to push through 3 more damage. Yeah, all 3 lined up. I smell a Fury of the North coming.
If WinXploit doesn't go for the Fury, MaykaS has a chance. You know, you get down the Swain this turn, you develop the Leviathan on the next turn, all of a sudden WinXploit is no longer really dealing unit damage to you. You even have an Arachnoid Sentry in case they top deck like a Zap Sprayfin, you know, some threat that can come down and actually try to push through lethal on you. And you should only need 1 attack turn with the Swain Leviathan combo to end things out. But it looks like we are going for the Fury of the North, maybe just deciding which unit we're going to play it onto. The answer is Yordle Grifter, because it has 1 more attack and there's no difference between the units otherwise.
Well, it should be the Crackshot Corsair so that you don't lose some of the Scorched Earth.
Like a 3rd block or something.
Or Scorched Earth for that matter, or anything.
And then now you have lethal if you hit Allegiance.
Yeah, which...
You probably hit Allegiance, right?
I mean...
You already used 1 Sejuani and a 3 Sisters. You Sejuani in deck. What are the odds that you miss Allegiance on the pivotal turn when WinXploit?
I think something like 10% or something like that, or 9%. I'm not great at math, but
probably less than that. Even
probably less.
I think it's
because we already drew a Sejuani.
2 out of 28, so it's 1 in 14.
Yeah.
Okay,
there
yeah,
it is. We got it.
So that is just going to be the double warning shot. That's why I wasn't considering a crack shot. Like, the math doesn't work out that way, but yeah, we do hit it. Kind of expected. Probably wouldn't have had too much trouble finding 1 damage, even if we had missed.
Yeah, and I think
even stole a Death's Hand for what it's worth.
The consideration at the end there, I think, is just that there's a lower percentage chance of you losing by using it on the Crackshot Corsair than if you use it on something else. Block. Yeah, then them
that's not what I'm about to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to in the top couple. I mean, those are kind of those micro decisions that you got to make.
You're not doing math on that one. You're trusting your gut. You're saying, does he have 3rd Ravenous Flock? Is that a call that I'm willing to make? No? Okay, we're going for the Yordle.
Let's be honest. TF Swain always has the Ravenous Flock. Like, between the 3 that you play and having a Swain on field and 1 in hand, I feel like the TF Swain deck almost always has a Ravenous Flock. So it feels bad just knowing that card exists to do that. So I do like it from WinXploit. Taking game numero uno there. And now we're going to get Sivir.
Yeah, this is what MaykaS was looking for, right? Was the Sivir Akshan deck. So the Ezreal Draven was the ban. But it actually was WinXploit banning the Frostbite midrange, which could be a lineup thing. You know, understanding that your Ezreal Draven is going to get banned, so you're never going to get to play that into the Frostbite midrange anyway, and saying, hey, that's something I'm a little bit more worried about with the decks that I brought. Or maybe even just paying respect to MaykaS and saying, MaykaS is probably, if not the best Frostbite midrange player in the world, certainly the one that has put in the most hours, and I do not want to give them that level of comfort.
All right, here are the mulligans. We have Ghost in the first hand again, and this time with a Sivir, and from what we've seen, Ghost without Sivir, bad. Ghost with Sivir, very, very good. And again, another great hand. Was this the same hand that we saw last round? It looks like it.
More or less,
Wow.
all we need is like a Z off the top, and we are having a perfect curve here. But of course, the sharp Z off the top for MaykaS will make the Ghost a little bit awkward later down the line. We'll see if WinXploit can actually force through that before the Ghost is committed. And man, Rock Hopper, man.
So good.
Ah.
So good. See, there's our burst speed landmark. There's our burst speed landmark right there.
Someone in chat had pointed out that the spell that makes 2 roiling sands. I think it's something.
Oh, yes, that is a burst speed landmark.
That is a burst speed landmark.
Yep, that
2
is
landmarks
actually,
even.
Yeah.
And it looks like we are just gonna like offer up the young witch as the sacrificial lamb, but it's not gonna feel too bad, right? Because we can still take out the 2/1 with this Laurent protege, so we're at least not like losing it for free, or at least not to a treasure seeker, but there is an auction now available for WinXploit, so probably just going to get to kill you for free with that one.
Well, probably.
I mean, hey, maybe we just kill the 3/1 here.
Yeah,
you know,
we got Rock Hopper. Yeah, because you still have the quick attack coming in from Young Witch.
Or we take nothing.
We pass.
Which is weird to me because
that is terrible.
You didn't burn any mana from WinXploit. You said, oh, you're a deck that plays a lot of combat tricks and spells. Here's 3 spell mana. I gift it to you. You are welcome. And now we're just going to lose our unit for free to a big bad Sivir.
What was that pass? I don't understand it. That makes 0 sense to me. Wow.
Well, that's because MaykaS is a genius, as we saw yesterday.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
Always knowing what's on the top of their deck. We cannot understand their plays. The pass seems a little weird to me. It's not like out of the question.
Ooh.
But I definitely would have liked to see an attack from MaykaS.
Maybe doing this knowing we can save the Young Witch so that next turn we're actually able to challenge with the protege onto the Sivir. That's something to take into consideration. We do have the twin disciplines. I'm literally never going to figure that word out. We do have the twin disciplines to save the Sivir if that does happen. Looks like we are still going to pull the Young Witch and sacrifice the Treasure Seeker. So I'm curious to see if that was MaykaS' line there. Because if so, that seems like a little much, right? I mean, because you know WinXploit is playing twin Man, I swear to I literally think every time before I say that card. I cannot.
Was this deck called Twin Disciples at one point?
I don't know.
Here's what I'm understanding.
I don't know.
So follow me here. Legends of Runeterra is a card game anime, loosely based on Yu-Gi-Oh. You and I were casters in the ancient Egyptian days when this card was called Twin Disciples.
Yeah.
And that's why we cannot get it out of our heads. Also, you know, when I was doing my Push P article, I actually looked into this. I'm like, all right, if we're an anime, you know, let's compare LoR to Yu-Gi-Oh. Who are all the characters? And I came to the conclusion that Majin Bey is almost certainly the main character of Legends of Runeterra, the anime. But the one that I was more certain about is that Henneki is Bakura.
Henneki is Bakura? Why are you saying that?
Because he's got that weird evil side that just like flips on sometimes. Like Henneki like was a pretty chill, low to the ground dude, and then sometimes he's just like, "Oh, me? I'm the best player in the world. I never misplay. I'm ready to be the villain of this story, baby." And I'm like, "Oh, Henneki, I didn't expect this from you."
Wait, so is Majin Bey not the villain? Because Majin is technically Majin's what?
Yugi.
Oh, yeah, but Majin, see, that seems so weird, though, because Majin is, like, evil, you know, so...
Yeah, look, go to Majin Bey's stream, tell me that guy's evil.
No, I mean, obviously not, I'm just saying.
The other option I was wondering is Majin Bey the Pharaoh?
Okay, that...
who's Yugi?
That seems more accurate. I would go with the Pharaoh.
You're Yugi, you at home, listening. You are the one that can be possessed by the spirit of Majin Bey.
Oh, look at that. But... no Yugi here, only Legends of Runeterra and Ruin Runner, the next card up for WinXploit. Next batter up here. Probably going to lose. Yep, there it is. Eventually, like I had thought, losing the Sivir to the Laurent protege.
Yeah, and this is huge for MaykaS because we've got not only the Twin Discipline to match the Twin Discipline of WinXploit to make sure that we're guaranteeing a kill onto whatever is trying to be protected, but we also have Sharp Sight for the Shen in case the Ruin Runner goes to block it.
Yeah, this is looking really good for MaykaS here. And that MaykaS lineup that you were talking about, you know, being one of the few people bringing Shen J4 into the top cut, does well against Sivir here, you know, as we're seeing. I mean, because WinXploit did not necessarily have a bad hand to get started. Still not able to get down Akshan. Sivir seemingly going to die unless we do get the twin disciplines down, which we are going to get.
And the twin disciplines being pre-committed means that now if MaykaS wants to be a little bit greedier, they can use both combat tricks to try and kill the Sivir and save the Shen. And the Shen is actually a really safe play as well because it's going to guarantee the kill through Shapestone. The one problem you would have to consider is that now if Shapestone comes out onto the Sivir, then that is surviving, and that's a bit of a problem. But MaykaS is going to greed it out, and there is no punish from WinXploit. We could actually just see something very close to a lethal on the following turn if we can get down this Golden Aegis, have a very large attack, kill whatever is played by WinXploit, and then win on the open potentially.
Yeah, we got another Sivir off the top, but it's just, I don't think it's going to be enough. I mean, we can push with Ghost now that Sharpsight's gone. But we do still have a young witch that's had vulnerable since the beginning of the game, but still not able to get taken down from WinXploit. There's another young witch in hand of MaykaS too. So I mean, honestly, we're not even really scared of the ghosts. I think all in all, MaykaS has this wrapped up. I mean, we even have a rally that we could just utilize this turn. Golden Aegis, man, constantly.
If we Golden Aegis this young witch, if this card came down on turn 2 with vulnerable and just lived the entire game, such a low priority target for it as well, right?
Oh my god, anything can kill it, like anything. I don't understand, and it's all thanks to that single bright steel protection earlier on back in I think it was turn 2, yeah, or turn 3 actually.
But we're just gonna throw down the Screeching Dragon and say, you know what, WinXploit, you get one turn. You can do whatever you want this turn, but after that, it's back to me, and I am doing whatever I want because you are really starting to get kind of low on cards in hand here.
Oh, there it is. Just as we say it, the young witch is dead. So we're going to push through. It looks like 1 damage. Nothing MaykaS can do here. And, a little bit dangerous, I guess, from MaykaS just because we are at 10 health. We could have theoretically pushed 7 damage here. Or actually, no, because the young witch still would have had to get taken care of. So, no, actually, not really dangerous at all. So, I do like that. This creates more value from this Golden Aegis, too, just having more units on board. And this turn, we can actually just play out most of our hand. And we should be good to close things out.
Yeah, this Sivir is probably going to die here. And that is really the last threat that WinXploit has. We do have Flurry plus Akshan, but the Akshan's unleveled, so it's only representing 6 damage. Maybe 8 if we can push through the young witch, but there is not only another young witch for MaykaS, but now the Sharpsight is available as well. And I believe Doza, we're going to see a lethal pretty soon here.
Yeah, the barrier onto the Screeching Dragon gonna give you that sweet, sweet free trade onto Sivir. Man, does that feel good.
And now, even if the Spirit Refuge comes out from WinXploit and says, hey, I need to save this Sivir, try and go for a lethal on the next turn, even though the big thing about what MaykaS is doing here is that Sivir is not progressing towards her own level up because barriers bumping off of each other means that you are dealing 0 damage. The quick attack also means the young witch is getting no trade value back. And this is looking like an extremely juicy Golden Aegis for MaykaS. You get the barrier back on to the Screeching Dragon. The Laurent Protege maintains its quick attack from the young witch early in the turn, can just take out that Akshan for free.
Yeah, and we're pushing not quite lethal, I don't think. Is that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? I think we're 1 off of lethal.
Is that with the Sharpsight?
That's without Sharpsight. We're 1 off of lethal. So
I think we have lethal then if we Sharpsight.
I don't think there's any reason we're going to
level as well.
Oh wait, does Shen level off the Golden Aegis?
No, he levels off his own support. So he's not going to give a bonus attack to anything, but he himself is going to get +1/+1.
Yeah, okay, so then never mind. Even without the Sharpsight, we'll be good.
Yeah, even without Sharpsight, we've got it. As long as we just go in with our attackers as they currently stand, challenge the 2 units. That's 8 damage on the remaining units. Actually, a little bit more, or 9 damage rather, thanks to the level up and the Young Witch. So see the writing on the wall on the side of WinXploit and say, okay, time to pick this one up. And MaykaS is now fighting back in the way that they expected to, right? They've been looking to pick on these Sivir decks that are a little bit more scarce in the top cut than we might have expected, but things work out for him again in game number 2. And now the TF Swain up against the Sivir Akshan Zed, that is what we are looking towards for game number 3. Can MaykaS get it done? Will WinXploit continue on to the top 4 of what I believe is their first online League Series top?
Yeah, first time I have seen WinXploit in the top cut here, at least since I've been casting the last, 24 OLSs or so. But game 3 gonna happen here. We'll see who's able to make it to the top cut. And just like you mentioned, TF Swain and Sivir. Sivir, you know, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've seen this matchup too often, just because TF Swain, I feel like a lot of people, when the format first shifted, we had that first batch of nerfs and whatnot. People thought TF Swain was going to come back to fruition as one of the stronger decks in the format. A lot of people definitely experimented with it. It's definitely stronger than it was, but I don't know. I mean, it hasn't been too popular, so we haven't had too many chances to see it versus decks like this Sivir deck. Who do you got here, Boulevard? Do you think TF Swain's going to be able to handle this Sivir deck?
If for no other reason than because MaykaS seems confident that TF Swain is going to be able to handle the Sivir deck. And I believe in MaykaS.
In MaykaS we trust, right? All right. So pretty okay hand for both players, I think. Nothing too great on both sides. Although 2 Flurry of Fists, very similar to getting, you know, all those ghosts in hand early on. Not sure you want them that early with multiples, but, you know, it is what it is. Maybe it could lead to a very quick victory as well.
Yeah. And now, so this is a funny interaction, right? Where the keg does come out before the Dreadway deckhand, but because it already has vulnerable, it actually skips the keg and puts it onto the Dreadway deckhand, which is an interaction that we see a lot. There have been times where, like, I want to gold card the strongest unit to deal 2 damage to it, but it's already stunned, so gold card skips over it.
And or a lot of times with gold card too, just the strength of units changes mid stack, and you have to kind of account for that to hit the strongest unit. So
MaykaS, I don't think MaykaS is going to throw anything out here. You know, we can wait until combat if we want to make it rain, and if we hold open all of our mana, or we're just going to make it rain now. This
is a good one. Wow.
I mean, we've still got the Arachnoid Sentry for a Zed, but WinXploit doesn't even go for the Zed. It says, I'm going to play another Rock Hopper. Play a unit, I dare you. And we are. It's Black Market Merchant. Here's a Young Witch that I stole. Thank you. This is a great card. I love this.
I mean, honestly, that is a great card. That's an elusive blocker. That's amazing.
It's really scary. A 4-attack, quick attack Swain.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, that is pretty.
Oh, you have a fearsome blocker? I don't care.
Wow. Yeah, and, you know, even that Make It Rain in the beginning, taking care of 2 units, this seems like a really good start for MaykaS. You know, after this attack, we're a card up, too.
WinXploit's really going to have to all in on this Zed win condition, and there's a little bit of protection for it, but not nearly as much as you would hope for if this is the card that you've got to put all of your eggs in.
Like a leveled Zed kills MaykaS from 20, I'm pretty sure, with the hand that we have. So that's not the issue. The issue is, do we ever actually get to, you know, that's like, it's not gonna happen.
This twin discipline is gonna have to be used for protection. The one cool thing that WinXploit has is that Flurry of the Fist is actually going to act as a protection spell here, in that it will stop a copy of here we go. I was gonna say it's actually going to stop Calling Strike, which is, I think, part of the reason that we see MaykaS throw it out here, saying, I don't feel comfortable going down to 0 units. And now, WinXploit's got to make a decision. Do we play Zed as a blocker, or do we take an insane amount of damage from the Swain? And MaykaS isn't actually going to give them that opportunity and just take the open attack with the Dreadway deckhand.
All right, and there's Preservarium getting a little, you know, concussive palm. I don't know if that does too much right now. You know, maybe eventually prevents this Swain from coming in on future turns. We really got to find something else to support this Zed. We pretty much... Okay, there's a Sivir. So we can also go in with Sivir now. A Ghost would be great. Even if we do get the Ghost, however, because we know MaykaS stole the Young Witch, that's going to get persuaded, unfortunately. So I think... I don't know. I mean, I guess we just start to go in with this Sivir. I mean, it's really the only choice we have. This stun, though, coming out of the Arachnoid.
I mean, you've got a free kill onto the Dreadway deckhand this turn, so you're at least, like, progressing towards the Sivir up level a little bit, which is, you know, at present, a pretty pitiful 8 out of 20, or 30, rather, now going up to 13.
Well, I think
so not even halfway there.
What we just saw, too, the Arachnoid, you know, picking off that spell shield, I think this is one of the reasons why TF Swain... it will do so well against this deck. I mean, there's so many ways to proc that spell shield from Sivir. The ghosted Sivir isn't nearly as much of a threat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
There's a nasty draws from WinXploit.
Yep.
Akshan and Ruin Runner perfectly curving out on turn 7. We have the concussive palm for the Swain that my therapist told me wasn't real. A four attack, quick attack Swain.
Oh, man. Yeah, and I mean, if we do play the Concussive Palm, we then unfortunately cannot play both Akshan and Ruin Runner, so it's a little bit of a downside there, but I do think we are kind of forced into playing the Concussive Palm. We can't afford to take that much damage from the Swain. Wow, that's a big old Swain. It's a dangerous Swain, jeez. We are still going to take 4 damage, and the thing I will say, I mean, you got to be a little bit concerned going low versus TF Swain. They do have ways to close out the game. Is MaykaS playing? I know we've seen a lot of iterations of No Noxian Forever.
No Noxian Forever.
Yeah, okay. I know in the past we've seen a lot of that. Yeah. Unfortunately,
it
not
kind
here.
of phases out in later stages because you really don't have a lot of units that you play that can survive it. Which is why I miss Braum Swain. RIP one attack Braum.
And RIP Akshan as well, getting picked off with Death's Hand. There's another thing there. I mean, Death's Hand has got Akshan's name written all over it in this matchup. So pretty easy target there. I'm gonna also get some additional procs on the Swain, and I think this is
gonna level the Swain.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is going to set up the Sliver for the Ravenous Flock. It's also going to give us the ability to, if WinXploit plays Ruin Runner, we probably just Death Sand that Sliver and in a best case scenario, kill it and stun the Ruin Runner. But this is also going to give us the opportunity to try and clear out some of these fearsome blockers and make sure that Swain actually gets to hit. As it stands, MaykaS is just like one Leviathan away from cleaning this one up and moving on to the top 4. But WinXploit's not going down easy. We still have the Zed in hand. We still have 2 Flurry of Fists, a bunch of buff spells, and a Ruin Runner. Yeah,
WinXploit actually has more cards overall than MaykaS, which is definitely odd. But they're all buff spells, and this is kind of what we harped on yesterday with this deck, is that you're always going all in on one unit, and especially if you are just using these attack buffs. Things like Death's Hand and Ravenous Flock and Scorched Earth and all that stuff, they just become huge. They just completely shut down those attacks. You know, if you try buffing up Sivir, she's damaged. All these units are damaged. They just die to something like Scorched Earth.
I really like the Death's Hand onto the Zed because assuming that the unit that you try to do this on is going to live, if you try to kill Sivir and then a bunch of protection goes on the Sivir, you stun Sivir, right? So you haven't really dealt with it. This way, if protection goes on into the Zed, you're still stunning the Sivir. And because the buffs that have to come out onto Zed are going to be HP buffs, Swain can still try and block it. And then you have a Ravenous Flock in case extra things are committed onto the Zed to try and get it up to kill the Swain.
Well, again, too, with the Scorched Earth, this makes it so there's definitely going to be damage on Zed. If you protect it, sure, Zed's going to live, but it's still damaged. So if anything goes in for an attack this turn, whatever gets buffed, if WinXploit tries going all in on anything, Scorched Earth just cleans it up. And then, like you said, Ravenous Flock as well. So I mean, this is, I think, probably the best possible play for MaykaS this turn, just to really be safe from too much of an offensive from WinXploit. The consideration for WinXploit, too, is that we do have Ruin Runner mana if we want to right now. Twin Disciplines, all right, that's kind of what we expected on the Zed. We could still play Ruin Runner. We just can't play any of our buffs this turn, and maybe we don't want to. Maybe that's not even something we want to do yet. Maybe we want to save that for the next attack turn.
Yeah, maybe we go in with the Flurry on the Zed, but I mean, it's still could just get blocked by the Swain at that point, and then if the Twin Disciplines is committed, like this is I don't think WinXploit can actually attack with this Zed.
Looks like we're gonna do it.
Try though.
I mean, I think there's too much upside to this, right? I mean, because worst case you lose Zed, but then your opponent loses Swain, and I think you're okay with that.
I'm curious if we're gonna get the Flock to try and bait out more protection, or if we're just gonna take the guaranteed kill with the Scorched Earth.
I'd say Flock, because knowing, all right, no, looks like it's gonna be Scorched Earth. I was gonna say, like, Scorched Earth kind of feels like your get out of jail free card, but I guess nothing's gonna have more than 4 health anyway, so I guess they both kind of accomplish the same thing, right? As long as everything's damaged, as long as Sivir and Zed stay damaged, you're not really worried about having lethal threatened. So I guess this makes sense, and you also save your Young Witch to push more damage. I mean, Swain is going to have to get blocked. You can't not block Swain, otherwise you lose your field. You probably just die.
And that means that WinXploit has to lose Sivir. I don't think we should have necessarily gone in with this Tail of the Dragon. That was our blocker for Swain, because if Swain hits you, that's lethal, and it kills your Sivir. There's a lot going wrong here, and it looks like MaykaS is going to take this with the open. Yeah, flock the Sivir. Might as well. Just get the blocker out of the way.
Yep. There it is. There's the flock. gonna get the twin disciplines. And that does mean this open attack is likely going to close things out, forcing that block like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's going to force the block onto the Swain, but that still only pushes 6 damage. Okay, Zap Sprayfin. Do you give your... Oh, and a Will of Ionia top deck for WinXploit. Things have been blown open a little bit here.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, Ravenous Flock.
That Will top deck is actually pretty huge.
We have a way to kill Sivir, though, and Ruin Runner not being a quick attack unit does mean that the Flurry of Fists is not going to do what we need it to. WinXploit doesn't have lethal. You know, this Absolver, despite the fact that we have seen all 3 champions, we have not been able to level any of them. This does not give us the Absolver's return.
Well, we've had to use Twin Disciplines so many times to protect units. I mean, there's so much attack gone. It seems like we've been on the back foot the whole time on the side of WinXploit. You know, we had this great top deck in Will of Ionia. We can possibly survive here, no problem. And we can even block with Rune Runner and do damage. So we'll somewhat get closer to Sivir's level up, but she's 20 out of 30 right now. We still aren't going to level up Sivir. So, and I don't even know how much that's going to... Well, I guess putting double strike. If we leveled up Sivir somehow this turn...
You can get double attack onto the Ruin Runner. That's going to be huge, but... You don't have any protection left for the Sivir, so Ravenous Flock will just kill her and take, you know, the keywords away from everything in combat.
Yeah, and we still have 5 mana too, so MaykaS is actually just going to be able to throw down the Swain again. So even in a world where we had double strike on the Rune Runner, I don't think we have lethal again. Are we just
gonna flock in response? I guess
flock the mana.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't love. I think that there's actually a lot of value in having your opponent have this damaged, unspell shielded Sivir sit on board. Because the only way that I could see MaykaS losing
top decking a Sivir
is if a fresh Sivir comes down.
Yeah, resetting that Sivir I think actually benefits WinXploit. Plus, you want them to invest resources in trying to go for a kill, right? You'd rather have them play Twin Disciplines, play Flurry of Fists, or whatever, or that Ghost, and then kill it. You get even more value out of it. We do now have Ghost. That's actually, how much is this?
Not
6,
as much
7,
as you would think.
8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, we're so close.
Well, there's no Absolver return.
Oh yeah, there's no leveled up champion. Oh man.
Yeah. So I mean, this is going to be. We're just trying to figure out what we can do with this Relic of Power.
Predict. What do we got? Is there a Twin Disciplines left?
I mean, if we can get a Flurry of Fists.
I think it was only Flurry. Twin Disciplines, I think we're 1 off. Because we don't have a leveled champion.
Well, there's also a blocker.
Oh, there's also Zap now. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Zap and Young Witch are both blockers for this, as well as the second Zap in hand. I think WinXploit was very specifically needing to find a second copy of Flurry of the Fists, but this was, I mean, rather the third copy. We already saw 2 of them.
Yep.
So MaykaS is probably just going to take this damage, not get fancy with the block, and just say, you don't have over-the-top damage. Yeah, what is this, 12 damage? Sure, I'll get a 1. What do I care?
Yeah, there's no reach, but no, all right, we are going to block, and WinXploit coming really, really close there. The second Flurry would have been the only thing to get them out of this situation and crack a win open here versus MaykaS.
And that would have felt terrible for MaykaS.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was like, yeah, you know, it actually might have played more into the misplay that MaykaS made of killing the Sivir, because if WinXploit had all of these things, almost certainly would have thrown them all on the Sivir.
Deny off the top, gonna do a whole lot of nothing.
It's just an open attack. The Ghost only lasts for the round, and Deny isn't gonna do anything, and MaykaS is gonna be moving on to the top 4 of the online league series, finding the matchup that they wanted against the Zed Sivir Akshan and doing it clean.